SpaceWIndu here from the FX-Saber forums. Well, actually, I'm XR Coon on the FX-Saber forums now. This is FX-Sabers Live. Thanks for joining me. We're going to talk sabers. A couple things happened just recently that I've noticed, and one of them is so crazy. Soundboard prices at the custom saber shop are plummeting. They are so low right now. I guess this is because of the Profi. I guess this is because when the Profi came out, it was like a really low price of like $60. So it really did a lot, and a lot of other soundboards, I guess, had to lower the price. Let me show you guys here. This is the sound modules section of the custom saber shop. This is like where you will find your soundboards for your lightsaber, and I'm going to get to that in 1 second. I need to make sure that this chat thing is working because it wasn't working last time for me. So need to see the chat somehow, some way. Need to see the chat somehow, some way. Okay, so Michael Murphy, I see you. Okay, it's starting to work. It's starting to work. Wasn't working last time. Now I'm actually seeing people in the chat. So when DarthChasm gets here, I'll be able to try to get him in here. I wanted to talk to you guys about the soundboards and just go over just some of these like crazy things I saw the other day. I was looking at Custom Saber Shop last night, and I needed to get another Crystal Focus 10, which there is stock available still. And, you know, that price is $84.99, which is so much less than like the Crystal Focus boards of the past. It's pretty crazy. And in turn, like a lot of these other soundboards had to lower, I guess, because, and then I looked at the Prism because I'm thinking, is the Prism still 115 when the Crystal Focus is 85? And no, it's not 115 anymore. It's 80. It's $80.50. Then I'm thinking, what about you know, the Nano Biscotti? Did that lower from? I thought it was around 65, but no, that's still the same. That's 67. The Crystal Focus V9 is like the biggest surprise. That one is $70 now. So that one used to be like $150. And if you need a Crystal Focus version 9 for anything, I know for like people's lightsabers, they probably won't want a Crystal Focus V9 when you can get a Crystal Focus 10. But what about for other uses, you know, like other props and stuff like that? Keep that in mind, because I guess there's Crystal Focus available for $70, like basically the highest technology of last year, the year before, like half price, less than half price. All right, I'm gonna try to get DC Saberhood. Try to get Mike in here. Mike, let me. I don't know what's gonna happen. I've never done this before, so let's see here. Okay, that didn't work. That did not work. Okay, what about this? Okay. I didn't do that yet. That didn't work. Okay, don't know how to do it just yet. Let's see here. I thought I had it figured out. Can't even invite a guest. See, there's like a question and answer thing that like someone made me. Oh, okay. All right. Well, in the meantime, I'm just going to finish what I was saying about the crystal focus, because if you have like some kind of other prop that you think this type of high technology chip will work with, that's a really good deal for awesome technology. I think still I haven't even read through the entire Crystal Focus 10 manual, but maybe that's so above and beyond that like it just kind of negates like Crystal Focus 9. Maybe that's the case. Maybe you use Crystal Focus 10 for just everything. Okay, there is an invite link, and then I send you that. So let's see. Can't figure it out. There's an invite link somewhere. I have no idea where. There's only so many buttons here. There is really no menu at the top. DC, I don't know how to get you in here. I know there's a way. There's a link somewhere here. Let's see. There is a link somewhere. Oh, here we go. I think I found it. Okay, so I just figure out. No, that didn't do it. Okay, how do I do this? Now, okay, I have the link. Now I'm trying to figure out how to get this to Mike. Like, how do I do that? How do I do that? Yeah, the technology of Sabers, and I can't understand how to do that. How to pull Mike into the stream. No, that didn't do it. I don't know if that's going to work. I try to type a private message, see if that works. It's like a link. to come in here? I have no idea. Peggle Pete says, I have a CFX going into a Saber, and the darn thing's going to be smarter than me for a good decade. Yeah, the CF10 is like, I just started reading the manual, and I'm trying to figure out certain things for like a Pixel install. It seems pretty straightforward so far. I'm just making sure, like, I like to reread the manual kind of like a lot, because I need to make sure I get all the facts straight. So luckily, some of the manual is kind of copy pasted a little bit here and there from the previous manuals, so that kind of helps sometimes. But with this one, a lot of it's like just got to be careful, because this is like newer tech. Gotta make sure this works the way I want it to the first time. So I usually like to just like read it and reread it. I'll even read a manual 20, 50 times, like depending on how many sabers, you know, I'll read it every time I make a saber just to make sure. Now, DC, we don't need tins and cans. This is going to work. Like, I don't know. Did you see how do I chat with just you? Like, when I click on your name, how do I chat with just you? I have no idea how that works. Invite. This is like, let me see here. Okay, recent version of Chrome, strong internet connection, wearing earbuds or headphones. Okay, so I might have to put in headphones when you come in here, Mike, because that's going to kind of make a kickback with the speakers on my computer. I'm thinking both of us. If you don't have a laptop or a desktop, you can join on the phone. Okay. On Android, recommend Chrome browser. On iOS, you got to use Safari. Joining the broadcast when the time comes. Provide you with a link. Oh, the link. Provide you with before the show. That would be helpful. Click the link and you'll be taken to the broadcast studio. Allow StreamYard to access your camera. Make sure you have the correct camera mic installed. All right, that seems pretty easy. The only problem is I did not share this before the broadcast, but I think it might work. Yes, like that's what I wanted to do. I was telling Mike this yesterday. I think that either I thought it or told you, but I needed to actually change your like status, like make you a moderator, and then it's like easier to come in here, I think. But I'm not even sure how to like mess with people's functions here. No idea. Okay, this is what's gonna happen. I'm gonna put the link right in the chat here, but Mike, you use it. I don't know. Let me share this instructions with you guys. Okay, so Mike, if this makes sense, I don't know if this makes sense to me. I provide you with a link. I just shared it with everybody. Try to allow StreamYard to access your camera, Mike, and then somehow, some way. I don't know. Like, do you have to like download StreamYard, or I don't know if that. They don't say that part. I don't know if you need to download StreamYard or what. Michael Murphy says about the instruction manual. He likes to read it, but then he emails Irv with questions. So yeah, that's what I do too. I usually email Irv with a video of like what went wrong. Sometimes things are like smoking, or sometimes sometimes I'm messing with like the new technology. Like I remember the first time I was working with the Neopixel, just a 5mm like little Neopixel LEDs that you have to, if you want to use them, there's 4 legs that come off of them, and you have to kind of twist them in a certain way. It's really annoying, so that it aligns with the very next one up top, and the data out and the data in are going to the right places, and the positive and negative are aligned. And eventually Irv had to kind of tell me, listen, do them in 10 LED segments, 10 LEDs per segment, because I was having so much trouble trying to string all these together. When I tested them, if one was wrong, everything wouldn't work. So I had to make sure that everything was right in a 10 LED bundle, and then put that aside, and then make another 10 LED bundle and put that aside. And it took 10 LED bundles, 100 LEDs to actually make the blade in the end. You know, thankfully, the strips were out at the time, but I just wanted to test if, you know, the LED ones were better. I had experience with the 5mm LEDs for string blades. They're bright as can be. It's like you can't get any brighter than that. Like the standard, like kind of what I call like an analog LED for a string blade, really can't get any brighter than that. So I thought to myself, you know, these 5mm LEDs in RGB is going to be like the greatest thing. But it just turns out that the strip is better. It's more flexible. I mean, it's flexible a little bit, a lot. The LED 10 segment, 10 LED per segment times 10 string blade that I made was stiffer. Each LED has 4 legs that's attached with solder on all 4 legs, that it's so rigid that I mean, it ended up being really nice, but it's so much work to make that happen, where you can go buy the strip. You can go buy the strip in different styles now too. So it's not really worth it. I kind of figured after making like 3 of those type of blades with the 5mm LEDs, I made a blade with 8mm LEDs, and that were pixel LEDs. They weren't brighter. I found out through, I think JB Kuma told me, or Irv told me, I think right away when I was making that's actually the same pixel LED inside 8mm housing as was inside the 5mm housing. Therefore, it was never going to be brighter. It's never going to be brighter than the 5mm, and it's never going to be as convenient as the strip. Okay, it would help if I hit return after I type in the link, wouldn't it? Like, does someone want to come and teach me how to use a computer tonight? Somebody want to come and teach me how to use YouTube today? So that I can maybe do this tomorrow without like putting Mike through the ringer here. So yeah, I don't know what's going to happen when you use that link. It's like, if I'm going to have to like click a button, or are you just going to pop in the screen here? We'll see what happens. Okay, here we go. Here we go. Mike is here. That wasn't so hard. That wasn't so hard.
I'm here.
That wasn't so difficult. Let me lower this volume. All right, I'm gonna put in headphones because I don't know what's gonna happen with the feedback.
Can you hear me all right?
Can you hear me?
Yeah, I can hear you.
Nice. What's going on, dude?
Not much. How are you?
Good. You working on Sabers tonight, or working on one of your projects?
Working on everything.
Yeah.
I usually got 3 or 4 things going at one time.
Yeah, me too.
Sabers, it seems like I'm always waiting for parts to come in. I got some parts coming in Tuesday, I think, which is funny because I ordered from Shapeways, and Shapeways is in Long Island City, which is literally right across the river behind me.
Mhm.
So I checked the track. They shipped it yesterday. I checked the tracking, and it's in New Jersey. So it just takes forever for things to get in. But yeah, they should be in Tuesday, and I'm hoping to finish up one of my sabers with a CFX.
Oh, awesome! You already started that one.
Yeah, it's one of the ones from the run I started well over a year ago, and kind of put the brakes on it because some things weren't working out, and I just needed to step away from the project. So um, I honestly I just refunded everybody and said I need to take my time. I'll get back to it whenever. So yeah, so I'm gonna try and finish up at least one of them now, and see if anybody wants it.
Nice.
Yeah.
Yeah, for anybody that doesn't know, DarthChasm is a member of the FX-Saber Forum, and he's also my friend who made me my lightsaber, the Jedi Assassin.
I love it.
Yeah, this one is like so sweet. For anybody who hasn't seen this yet, it's got a copper emitter. You could see the CFLS 8-pin DIN connector down there. It's got a shroud on the copper emitter. Mike designed this whole thing. Look at that. It's like a Koran horn mixed with a Kyle Katarn, mixed with a, like, what else do we say this was like? It's like in that era of like.
Yeah, it's kind of that post Jedi Return of the Jedi era. And yeah, it was a mix between.
Is a good idea, but it's the only way.
Sorry.
It was a mix between Koran horn and Kyle Katarn. I was looking at those two sabers, and specifically Mag Cal's Koran horn. You know, Rob is just amazing, and I always look at his sabers as inspiration, and try to incorporate some of his design cues and you know, add my own touches to it. I like the weathering on the handle. It's doing exactly what I thought it would do.
Yeah.
It's natural weathering.
I love that. Like
Yeah.
you gave it to me with some of that there.
Mm-hmm.
And then I think it got to be a little more.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
So let me just show everybody this sweet pommel. I really like this pommel. This one has like a lot of detail. You made this like kind of like a steampunk look to it, where look at that. It's got copper at the bottom, just like it has copper in the emitter. That's a copper screen. It's got some brass gears. It's got some parts that you inserted there for this like multi-layered look.
Yeah, all of my sabers have the three elements of black, copper, and brass in one aspect or another, and one of those finishes might be just a small little piece, but all the sabers have those three types of colors and finishes. They just work so well together. It's you know, they always look great.
Yeah, you could kind of see that peeking through the bottom even before I take off the casing, that you have those three elements there.
Mm-hmm.
As I, let me just do this real quick. People got to see this. Look at that crystal.
Yeah, that's
Look how cool that is.
What is that? That's a fluorite crystal. It's a nice octahedron shape. Pretty unique. You don't see many of those.
You can see it pulsing with the blade on. That's where the Crystal Focus LS lives, in there. Some accent LEDs.
And that has a special little thing inside, doesn't it?
Well, this has not only accent LEDs there. I could remove this plastic case, and you could see more of the crystal focus. But I want them to see more of that. Can you guys see the crystal chamber details? It's so cool.
Yeah, it's that was a mix of, just basic parts from the the plumbing section at your local Home Depot. There's a motor commutator in there as the base for the crystal. Some brass tubing. A couple of the pieces are 3D printed steel. And then we have the spun wire conduits in the back there. Just 2 conduits in the whole thing. All the wires run through that. And then just other little bits and bobs that were laying around in the storage bin. But that has a rumble motor in it too.
Yes. So this even further reminds me of my Koran horn from Rob, because you could feel. Well, it's better with the. It's actually better with the casing on. It's actually when you have the rumble motor and a Saber this solid, and then I have these like Maglite style grips. So this feels like it's really on.
Yeah, that rumble motor. I don't know if you remember. At one point during the build, I tried convincing you to not do it.
I'm such a jerk with that.
No, you weren't. You wanted it.
Look at that. That's nice. And it feels real.
The problem that I ran into was the motor was triggering the soundboard, because I had to do a couple things with that chassis to make it work and make the board kind of isolated from the metal and stable and secure. And so I printed a couple rings for board retention, and then used some epoxy paste to keep those rings inside the tube. But the board was still, it was just so much vibration from that motor, and I tried a whole bunch of different resistors to bring it down, and it just wouldn't stop. And then finally I got it to a point where I was, I met a nice balance, and it wasn't doing it anymore. I was like, all right, we're done. I could ship it out.
Yeah, and to this day, it's even pulsing right now with the sound font, like adulation or whatever you want to call it.
That's
like
cool.
The articulation of the whatever's going on. Even though I have it on mute, I could tell that it's pulling from the blade effects, from the.
Yeah. That Saber is one of the ones I built that I was really sorry to let go. Honestly, I was like, man, that hurts. That hurts to let that one go. But I was happy to do it for you, and I'm glad I'm glad it's working out for you.
Yeah, and we could you could see it any time, because you're in New York, I'm in New Jersey. It's not that big a deal to drive up there, and we'll get together and do some sabering, or at least go out to eat or something.
That would be great. Get a JB out too.
Yeah,
definitely. I'm
JB's
up for
close
that.
by, and I do want to see some of that new stuff that you're working on, and your new is it the number 6? Well, that's the Sith holocron.
Yeah. Number 6.
That's the CF10's going into.
Yeah.
Yeah, that'll be something cool to see.
Yeah. I'm excited for that. It was a challenging build. I was originally doing 6 of them, and I got all the way to the point where, well, 3 were going to be empties, and 3 were going to be full reveal core installs. And just every step of the way, I ran into problems with one thing or another. And then it was right at the point of finishing up the first install that I ran into some problems with the paint. And, I thought to myself, if this paint job is going to chip while I'm just handling it normally and installing things, I'm not messing around like a gorilla with these things, I don't want to send these out like that, because what happens in a week of being in someone's hands and they're playing around with it is another one going to chip?
Unless they want like a Luke V2 look.
Exactly. And the thing is, none of them ordered heavy weathering. so I couldn't get away with the hide your errors excuse. So I just said I got to stop, because the thing is sure, it's paint, you can strip it, but the way that the whole front assembly of the Saber is built, especially with the I don't know last time you saw it, or if you remember, it's got 5 little brass inserts on the top and bottom. Well, those, in order to get those in, they got to be permanently attached, right? So that whole assembly of the copper emitter, the shroud, and the brass inserts couldn't come apart. So I was worried about
a repair or
dunking these in stripper, and things getting all messed up. And so I just took my time, cooled off a little bit, and then did a little hunting for some stripper. And fortunately I was able to find some that worked from like Ace Hardware. Nothing special. But in order to make it work, I actually had to. It's like the really thick kind of stripper, like the goopy gel. I tried just painting it on and letting it sit, and it wasn't really working very well. But then I don't know why I got the idea to wrap it in a plastic bag, like paint it and then wrap it in a plastic bag. And when I did that, the paint was just like sliding off after like 30 minutes or whatever. So it worked out. One of them I did end up weathering. I'll try and sell it, because the paint on that one for some reason didn't come off as easily. So I said, okay, this is the weathered one. So, because I had to sand it, and prior to all that, everything was polished clean and like, gleaming. So I just, I sanded it, did the hand polishing, and then, it wasn't the same as the others that were, polished prior. So I decided to weather it, and we'll see. I'm sure somebody will want it.
Show me that one. Maybe I'll buy that one. I love your designs.
Yeah, I'm wondering where it is.
I don't mean you have to show me now. Show me when I'm over there or whatever.
Yeah, definitely. Yeah, it's kind of like the 04 look, but without the scratches and dents and stuff. Yeah.
Yeah, for anybody that doesn't know, my lightsaber here that DarthChasm made for me ended up becoming Lightsaber of the Year on the Rebel Armory 2017. Am I right about that?
Yeah. I was surprised.
And not only that, but you do these awesome tutorials on FX-Sabers for different things. Like my favorite one is the conduit tutorial, but you've done other ones too. And
there's the conduit one. I did one on anodizing, if anybody wants to do that at home. And that's actually the the little collar and the pommel on your lightsaber is anodized in like a gunmetal. Yeah, the part right under the copper with the ports. That's anodized. Those are, I think, the two video tutorials I did, and then there's a couple others. I did one on brass caps for your tactile switches. You know, doing that with a drill and hex standoffs. I think that was the first tutorial I wrote up on. I think it's Tim's forum, the TCSS forums, and then brought it over to the FX.
Is that where you started out with sabering? You were on Custom Saber Shop forum first?
Yeah, I mean, yeah, honestly, starting out sabering, my dad, we were very fortunate as children because my dad was a handyman, worked for the telephone company, and was a pack rat. So my brother and I had our choosing of junk to pick up and make things out of, without my father's knowledge, of course. And you know, as early as the early 80s, my brother and I were building PVC sabers. And then, you know, over time it progressed to sync tube sabers, and then sync tube sabers with LEDs in the hilts, not emitters, but just like blinkies on the, you know, on the outside of the hilt, kind of like what you have on yours now.
Yeah.
And then, you know, school hit, and, you know, college, and then job. And when Master Replicas came out, yeah, I was like, oh, that's what I've always wanted to do. And at the time, you know, I was still fresh out of college, I think, and they were expensive for, you know, somebody that just got finished eating ramen every night for 4 years, you know. So I said, you know what, I'm not gonna waste the money. I'm gonna build myself one of these one day, and that's when I, you know, eventually started looking online and came across the Custom Saber Shop forums and the FX forums, and I was a lurker for years. But then I went to grad school, and you know, that was more time that, you know, I was spending on other things. And then 2015, with the new movie coming out, I was part of that rush that came into the hobby at that time, because people's interests were sparked again. And, you know, in a way, fortunately, I'd lost my job then, and I think I was out of work for it was about 4 or 5 months, and I got cabin fever, and I was thinking to myself, I need to do something. I need to, you know, I got to figure out something here. So said, oh, why don't I go and make a saber? So I pulled up the Custom Saber Shop, and I joined that forum. And then, like a month later, I joined FX, but didn't post on FX. You know, in my mind, that was still, it was like the elite. You know, you don't put your sabers up there unless they're good. And so I stayed away from FX for a little while, until I built my second saber. And then I was just amazed at what I was able to accomplish. And that's the fun part, when you can finish up one of these projects and be like, just dumbfounded that you did it. You know, just totally surprised, not you know, not cocky, like, yeah, it's like, holy crap, man, I made that? You got to be kidding me. That's one of the real joys that I have. And I first got that with the second saber. The first saber, not so much, because it was a plug and play type thing, where I got all the components from, you know, from the Custom Saber Shop, and put it together in like a couple days. And it was like, all right, that was fun, but
You wanted more
Nah.
modification.
I want to get my hands dirty because I'm an artist. You know, I went to school for fine arts and then graphic design, and I've always been into um, the manual part of art, being into like having things in your hand and producing something tangible. Um, so that's where I get the joy.
Yeah, I was surprised, like right off the bat, seemingly from my point of view, like right off the bat, you were a prodigy at making lightsabers.
Well, thank you.
because once I found out how long you were doing it, I think when I first came up to you, I approached you about maybe making me a saber. I think you said you'd only been doing it for a year.
Yeah.
I couldn't believe it. I couldn't believe it.
Yeah.
Because the design aesthetic that you were holding to at that time and moving forward just is so advanced, so in sync with like not only companies like Genesis Custom Sabers and like Rob Vader's Vault, but really tied to the look of the movies, the OT, and even the like from my Saber, like you were aware of the video games and incorporating elements from post Return of the Jedi, which is like one of my favorite areas, along with like Ancient Jedi. That's like that's like my two favorite things. It's like what happens with Luke after Return of the Jedi, and also what happened thousands of years before.
Yep.
I think that those two designs are like those design aesthetics are kind of tied, not just because they're Star Wars, but because like at least in the expanded universe of Star Wars, that time was like a resurgence of the Jedi. There became a lot more. They became like concrete in the world again. They started to have their name out there again, and it was kind of like the old times of like, you know, the ancient Jedi really protecting everyone with like good, smart leader and stuff like that.
Yeah. I mean, I appreciate the artistic endeavor and the creativeness of like crossovers and like some of the more outlandish type of sabers that people do and put together. And I appreciate the art of like all the etched sabers and all these wild things with all. For me personally, my joy comes with trying to stay within that visual language that the movies established. And what that visual language is the struggle of living in space and dealing with that, and the struggle of oppression, and the tools and the things around you, the world around you is very utilitarian, so it's very stripped down in some ways. That's kind of like the deep down part of the visual language. And then you have very geometric elements to the language as well, which I really appreciate and try to incorporate in some of the other things that I make as well, like the Saber display that that I did a couple months ago, with the paneling and stuff like that. It's all very geometric, and there's a very specific feel to the Star Wars universe. And if you're just a little bit off, you're off. And it's really hard to nail it. And there's some people that do it very well. I think Rob Madcow does it very well with some of his original designs. I can't. What's his name? Nick Cohen, Starfall Sabers, I think maybe is his moniker. That guy produces like a saber a day. I don't know how he does it. I think he made these like 20 years ago and kind of stored them and waited for social media to come around so he could post pictures. No, but it's he's really good.
I am taking a look at some of that now.
As far as his aesthetic goes, I think in a lot of his work, he nails it. So it's like I said, I appreciate the creativeness of some of the sabers that we see in the community, but it's
wow, look at this one. This one's kind of like an amalgam of a Graflex and the one you made for me.
Yeah.
Like,
yeah, he's got a really good eye, and his color choices are really nice.
That one looks like something like another version of mine.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, he does That's really wild. Well with the language and kind of the representation of the universe.
Yeah, this one looks like that Ko Sendarak one. That's how you say the name. From the Old Republic video game. Oh yeah, this looks like another kind of saber in that same language.
Oh, I missed it. Yoda asked what got me into sabers. Is that what prompted the question?
No, I actually asked you, and then I saw Yoda commented that, but you were kind of already answering it, so
already in there. Yeah, it's just a shorter answer is a love of Star Wars and one of the most ridiculous, never gonna happen weapons to ever come into anyone's mind.
Well, never say never.
Yeah, that's true. That's true. Yeah, it's just I think for a lot of people my age, and in my profession, my track, and you as well, Anthony, we're close in age and we're close in profession. Star Wars was a big catalyst for my creativity and a lot of people in my my professional field around my age. It was what shaped our creativity and kind of what made us want to make things, because we saw those movies and we're like, wow, I want to do that. I want to make stuff like that.
Yeah. I always thought I was going to be like one of those scene painters. Like, did you ever watch like a Wizard of Oz documentary or whatever, and they would show you like scene painters, how they were like on glass and kind of moving, when they moved the camera, it looked like the real scenery, depending on how many panels you had. I kind of thought I would do that, and that was when I was like 4, 5, 6, 7, Then I thought I was going to draw comic books. I kind of do that, but the real thing is, become lightsabers.
Yeah. I wanted to get into special effects when I was younger, even all the way into high school. I was, it was something I was interested in doing. And to be honest with you, I can't think of why I didn't go further and pursue it. For some reason, I don't know. Maybe I thought, graphic design, I'll make more money. Not true. I don't know why. I can't put my finger on why. And this has come up recently, and I tried to think about it, but yeah, I was into, making my own masks for Halloween and doing, like I said, my dad was a pack rat. So, building like electronic, not real, but electronic key codes for our bedroom door. My brother, that was our spaceship, and you needed a special key to get in. And we would make those things out of like old electrical junction boxes that my dad had in the basement. And, so I was always into that, like, special effects and prop making and stuff like that. I don't know why I didn't pursue it.
Can we take a look at that holocron that you were holding?
Yeah, I mean it's kind of pieces right now, but I can show
Because
you.
you know, when you're talking about special effects and making special effects, I kind of almost think, you know, you're kind of doing that when you make a lightsaber, because
Yeah.
like when I turn on the video camera or your phone and you record yourself with the lightsaber, or you look in the mirror, I mean, it looks real. It's a prop replica.
Yeah.
And when you have something like this, and this lights up, right? It's like
it
when
will.
you have it
Yeah.
light up and you're holding it, it's like a special effect, but it's a real life special effect. That's the cool thing. That's the cool stuff that you're making right now. Stuff that people could hold. That's really like a special effect.
Yeah, absolutely. And I mean it'll light up, and I don't want to say too much because I haven't yet, but it's going to get electronics and it'll speak to you. I won't say any more than that. But yeah, I mean,
it'll coerce you if it's a Sith holocron, probably.
Yeah,
make you do bad stuff.
It'll make you do bad stuff. Definitely, it's the holocron's fault if you're doing bad stuff.
Yeah.
It's all in pieces right now because I finally, so it's all cast resin, and I made it. Here's another piece. This is the original. This is the master, and then this is the casting. I made it as styrene. So if you've ever watched like any of the Star Wars, making of Star Wars, and like you know, kind of like the model shop featurettes or anything like that, or Adam Savage, if you watch him, this is how they made many of the miniature ships and models and stuff, is out of styrene. It's basically just really soft plastic that you can score, snap with your hands, and put together.
Oh.
I kind of cheated. I used my vinyl cutter to cut all the shapes. So, you know, I was able to quickly do shapes like this rather than sitting there for hours, you know, trying to cut stuff. And then once they're built, I made molds with silicone and then poured the resin in, and you get, you know, a reproduced part here. All the features are there. This is a bad casting. It had a bubble, but it's good enough for the prototype to kind of show what it's going to do. And then these are actually cast with copper powder. So once, well, actually probably after we hop off here, I can buff this up to a high shine, and it'll look like that.
Wait, so the one in your left hand is real copper, or it's a copper coating?
It's copper. It's real copper powder that you put into the mold before you pour the plastic.
Oh, I see.
So it covers the surface of the mold, and then this way you got affordable pieces that you can reproduce over and over again, but have a nice metal finish to them.
Well, also each one will be unique because the little, you know, like you said, you're going to sand it or whatever. Won't it be kind of unique with the markings and stuff like that?
The polishing will probably
that
be,
kind of makes it look uniform, I guess.
No. That's the part that'll actually make them look less uniform. So here's two unpolished pieces that came from. It's really hard to. The camera's kind of backwards. That came from the same mold. So, and I made it to look like brushed metal. So all the scratches from making that brushed metal texture is the same in both of these. But when you go to polish it, like I can put more emphasis here while polishing, and less here or less here, and then they'll start to look a little unique.
Oh, that's exciting. That looks like a Sith relic right there. Doesn't even the other ones you held up without the polishing also look like Sith relics, you know? They all do.
This is actually graphite. So, you know, the stuff that's in pencils. This is graphite powder that polishes up to look like gunmetal. So the trick for anybody that's like doing like guns or You know, stuff like that. Blasters. If you want to get a gunmetal look, graphite powder is the way to go.
That looks really cool because some of that too look like Boba Fett armor colors,
Mm-hmm.
a little bit, and what he's got now. Is this the same principle that you're making the holocron body that you make your crystals with? Because you make the little crystals that have the Neopixel RGB LED embedded inside of it, that people could put this crystal in their lightsaber and more easily have a lit crystal that matches their blade color or matches whatever programming they have for their Profi board or Crystal Focus 10 or Prism or NEC board.
Mm-hmm.
So is that the same type of thing?
It's the same thing. That crystal or those crystals are reproductions of a real crystal. So,
I see.
You know, just pour silicone over the crystal, make the mold, and pour the resin, and you know, attach the LED. I originally, well, for 2 years now, I've been supplying Tim or the custom saber shop with 5mm RGB LED crystals, and the last time he made an order for those, he said, "Why don't we, or have you thought about doing Neopixels?" And I said, I laughed. I said, the very first crystal that I made was with a 50/50 RGB LED. It wasn't a Neopixel, but it was the same
footprint.
Package, same footprint, right? So I was like, I don't know, man. That was kind of hard, and like I had to like solder to these little pads, and then a light went off, and I was like, oh wait, they make individual PCB neo crystals. So I was like, yeah, let's do it. So we put them together, and I think they went into the shop. I don't know, maybe a month ago or so. But yeah, I mean, the thought was when I originally did the 5mm LEDs with the inside the crystal was, one, it's a huge pain in the butt trying to find a crystal to fit your crystal chamber, because you go to Etsy and nobody wants to tell you the size of the crystals. They'll give you the size range, but they won't give you a specific size.
I'd imagine you had to buy a lot of crystals to sift through one that you wanted.
Yeah, so you
wanted.
You know, and people don't know where to start. I mean, like you said earlier, I'm in New York City, so I can find these specialty places and stuff like that, and I can go hunting. I mean, I went I think West Village or something like that, and that's where I found the fluorite crystal for your saber. But you know, some people don't have time to do that, and some people don't want to do that. So the idea was, let's make this install. Let's come up with an install easy, simple idea. Let's give people the exact size. Excuse me. So that they can plan their chamber around the size of the crystal, because they know the size of the crystal, and then they can just pop it in, and you know, you can epoxy that to a disc, or however you want to do it. You could use screw retention, whatever you want to do. So Neopixel in the crystal was the obvious next step.
I love the way they look. Now, on these ones, do you have to use a resistor from here to your soundboard, or does this have a resistor built in there for that?
It has a very small resistor on the PCB, but it's recommended that you still use a resistor on the data line for that. Yeah.
I see. Okay. Yeah, Michael and I had a question about that the other day. And he's still experimenting. We're still experimenting with like how best to use these little PCB Neopixel boards, incorporate them to, like, you know, as accent LEDs and stuff like that.
Yeah, I mean they're you know, those little tiny boards are really versatile, and to be able to use them as like little accents in your saber, kind of. I know with the CF X right now, you can only do it in series or parallel with the blade, but eventually they'll be individually addressable, as I am informed. You know, I could be wrong, but I think that update is coming. So it, you know, it just adds a lot more versatility to what you're able to do.
Yeah, these look really cool.
Even like pommel, pommel accents and stuff like that.
Yeah.
They could run down there. And, you know, dual crystal and triple crystal, quadruple crystal. You know, I wanted to ask, you've been in the hobby longer than me, and you know, I never done a search for it. Maybe I did do a search for it at one time or another. And this is kind of off the beaten track here. Have you? I don't want to say it because somebody's gonna do it, and then I'm gonna be upset because I want to do it. Has anyone ever made a clear lightsaber? And Yoda might know this. I better go back to YouTube.
Yes.
Okay.
Just very recently, one of my best friends, Jedi Arms Dealer, has the two greatest ones you'll ever see. You want to see them?
Yeah.
Oh my God! Like seriously, you're gonna bug out. You're gonna bug out. The first one that he made is called the Glass Flex. The Glass Flex. Okay, check this out. Oh, I hope this is easy to find here. Let me look up his name. And I'll tell you about the second one in a minute, but let me look up his videos. All right, well, you're getting it. You're going to see the second one too. Okay, Glass Flex, oh my Lord. So, let me get this on screen here. Okay, so he's got, oh my God.
Damn it.
He's got like, you know what, let me just pause this for a second. Like, he not only has the clear lightsaber, he has a Graflex clear lightsaber. He has a rotating crystal chamber. He has accent LEDs up the wazoo. This thing, he didn't stop. He didn't stop. He didn't sleep. He didn't sleep.
That is so over the top. I love it.
You see how he's wearing gloves? Look at this thing.
Oh my God.
He created each part.
Oh my God. See, no idea is original. I've had this idea for a couple years, and I was like, I've never seen one.
He took it even further. I'll show you the next thing he did. If anybody wants to see like some of the craziest ideas, go and sign up. And look, it's even Pixel. It's even Pixel.
Wow.
And this is, when is this? This is like a year and a half ago.
Jesus.
So he not only has this. If anyone wants to see some of the craziest ideas, go sign up Jedi Arms Dealer on YouTube. Check him out. He's got the coolest stuff. I'm lucky enough to be working with him on a couple projects right now. He's helping me with a couple upcoming projects, and I'm actually working on a really awesome project. It's going to be revealed pretty soon that he had a huge part in. So let me just show you the other one he's got. Jeez, it's crazy. And check. Oh my God. This almost made me, I almost cried. I almost cried when I saw this. And this is what happened, like, because I knew he's working on this. And what I had to do is, like, I started the video and I paused it and I didn't come back for a week. And he was texting me saying, "Did you see my saber?" Like I didn't even say anything, because like I'm gonna cry when I look at that saber, but in a good way, like cry in a good way. This is like what you're looking at right here is a crystal that's really a lightsaber.
Yeah. Yeah.
So he took his idea of the glass flex, and even like he has this as a crystal that slides off of this part.
That's so awesome, dude.
So this part here is like the body of it. Not only that, check this part out. I don't want to give away everything he's doing on his channel. He's got this connected to his car in Bluetooth mega speakers, and it's just blowing away all the neighbors and stuff like that. So like the power of this lightsaber is unbelievable. But yeah, unfortunately, like someone did it, but fortunately, it was my buddy Jedi Arms Dealer, and he did it really, really well. I think even Yoda would say that he did the glass flex really well.
So he made all those pieces. He machined that acrylic, or
like he's gotten really good at like creating acrylic parts, plastic parts, and lots of like Delrin. He can like work with all that stuff.
Yeah.
And I think he's using a lathe for some of it. Like you have for certain things, and I don't know what else he's got. Like I guess some kind of 3D printer stuff or whatever. But yeah, he's like created every bit of that, including the grips, including the exterior, like kind of same size as a Graflex, but it's made out of acrylic. It's like
that's amazing.
It's a glass flex.
That is amazing.
So this lightsaber that you see right here is called the Illumos. Let me get that back up on the screen. It calls it the Illumos. It's the crystal one. He created this for a contest that Vader's Vault was about to launch. But from what I understand is contest from Vader's Vault, there wasn't that much interest. So Vader's Vault canceled the cut. Yeah, they canceled the contest, but
I know which one you're talking about. Yeah,
I don't know about it, but I heard that I guess there wasn't enough people, so they said, "Listen, no one's interested." But he kept doing that idea until it was finished, and he finished it. Yeah. So that's what you see there.
I think they made it very. To be honest, I think they made it a little bit too niche to get a good response.
What was the contest?
Well, it was
a custom saber or something.
Yeah, well, you had to make all the pieces yourself. It couldn't be like what I do. You know, some of the pieces in my sabers are outsourced. You know. And then other pieces I'll do myself because I have the means to do them. But the bigger stuff that I'm not able to fit on my lathe or on my mill or whatever, or threading, I don't do any threading. So
like the color here on mine is pretty custom that you designed this for my saber. Did you make that, or you sent out for that your design printed? Or
that's
created?
All. That was sent out for machining. So I designed everything in Fusion 360, and then the files are sent out to the machine shop.
And I know Tim helped you make the emitter, right?
Yeah.
And then you crafted the shroud yourself.
Yep.
And then you had sent out for the handle part.
Handle, yeah. All the basically. Minus the D-ring and the shroud, all the exterior was outsourced. And that was actually your saber is the last saber I did before I got my lathe and mill.
Oh. So you would have done those parts like the collar. Now you would do that yourself?
No, they're just a little too big for my lathe. I have a very small lathe. I'm in a studio apartment here in New York, so space is very limited. So I have small Sherline mill and lathe. They're like, very, very small. If you saw them, you'd be surprised how small they are. But they're really quiet. They're like, as loud as like a sewing machine.
Oh,
So I can use them here
that's cool.
in my apartment and not upset the neighbors too much because they don't really hear it.
I didn't know that was even like an option to get a quieter lathe.
Yeah, they're very good. They'll handle a lot of work, and people swear by them. And I did a lot of research before I bought anything because that equipment is not it's not really cheap. So and especially Sherline, it's made in the United States. It's made out in California, and their stuff isn't cheap. So I did a lot of research and made sure that the equipment was good and people are happy with it. And a lot of people say that they end up upgrading to larger machines, but they keep their Sherlines for like secondary work. So
that's cool. It's like a quality thing. Like I always
Yeah.
heard, like for other tools like drills and stuff, I heard Bosch was really reliable.
mhm.
I guess that's like a name like that for lathes.
Yeah. For small, I mean, they're very small hobby lathes. The most I'll do on them is like chassis stuff. So core, reveal core stuff. So like, an inch and a quarter is probably the max diameter that I wanna mess around with on my lathe. To be able to machine something like the exterior parts on your Saber, you need something like, an inch and 5/8, or maybe you could do. No, you couldn't even do 1.5 inches because that just wouldn't give you enough room.
Does
For
like
play.
an 8-inch lathe? Is that something like what you got, or you need something bigger?
I have the bigger one. I have the longer one.
17.
Yeah. I couldn't remember if it was 14 or 17.
This looks nice. Yeah, that looks like something I should consider. I really like the idea of being able to make my own parts like that.
They're really actually. You know what? There are two machined parts that I did myself on your Saber. I totally forgot about this.
It's the brass core, right?
It's the switches.
Oh, okay.
I turned.
Even those gave you sleepless nights. I remember.
Yep.
Those were an issue too at some points. You're like, it's not the way I want yet. I said, don't worry about it. Take your time with it. Like, I want to quit this Saber. I said, no.
Yeah. It's convenient to be able to do that. I recently I did a Bluetooth comlink, and so I salvaged. Well, I didn't really salvage. I cannibalized a USB Bluetooth flashlight speaker from Amazon. One of these, cockamamie 5-in-1 things. So I got it on Amazon and took it apart and took the board out and put it into an Argus flash handle. It's a really tiny black plastic ribbed flash handle, vintage flash handle, and I needed buttons to be able to activate the board and be able to use the Bluetooth and play music and all that. And I grabbed a small aluminum rod, went over to the lathe and made a couple buttons in a couple hours, and in a day I had a Bluetooth comlink.
Wow.
Whereas with those buttons, let's say I wanted them 3D printed, I don't have a 3D printer, so I would have sent them the Shapeways and it would have taken 3 weeks. Then I was able to get them in like an hour, and they're aluminum.
That's so cool.
Yeah. Yeah. So, I would say if you want to get a machine like that, like, just do your homework and read up on it and watch some of the guys on YouTube. And if you really are interested, I'll make suggestions for like people to watch and stuff like that. Like I learned about um, the machines and like, the terminology and the operations that you do on them for like 2 years, just before I even bought the machines. I did all the research, and they're a lot of fun. They're a lot of work though, a lot of maintenance, and the machines aren't the expensive part. It's the tools.
Oh, like the head of it, or the bit that actually does the work on there.
All your tooling. So all the cutting tools, all the holding tools, your work holding tools, so your vices, your clamps, your this, that, and the other. Your centers on your lathe, and it adds up. I would say
Wow.
my tools altogether probably cost as much as my lathe and mill.
Oh wow.
Yeah.
But I guess
Yeah.
you could get away with, like, in the beginning, with a couple of the tools, or do you feel like you're really limited with just the?
You are limited in what you can do. You're not going to be able to do everything, but with Shoreline, the mill and lathe that I have, they offer packages, and I got one of the, like, whatever they call it, the complete shop package, which came with tooling, essential tooling, and like a couple little extras that I was able to use, but you need to get more. So you need your measurement tools and all that. Why am I? The names are escaping me right now for some reason. But your measurement tools and stuff like that, because machining is very precise, and you need that equipment to know where you're at and where you're going. But yeah, it can get pretty costly.
I'm on TCSS. Well, no, I'm on FX-Sabers TCSS like page.
Mm-hmm.
I just thought it was kind of funny before, because I was like looking at this just to see, like, did anyone come on FX-Sabers and write in the TCSS forum section of FX-Sabers that the soundboards are like half price right now?
Oh,
and
no.
nobody did. Nobody has anything. And then I was looking. They have a TCSS YouTube channel pinned. What do you call it? Pinned section, whatever.
Oh my God!
The last thing is from 2009. like nobody puts any links in here from like it's like there should be links here for good videos, like on the Custom Saber Shop, and there's lots of them, because like Mad Cow does all the videos, so there's like tons of good videos. I'm surprised. I guess because they have their own forum. There's not really anybody keeping this one up. But I was just like, whoa, how is the last post 10 years ago regarding like congratulations of getting a YouTube channel? You have nothing else. there is YouTube video. There's awesome YouTube videos. They should be categorized here or something.
That's I done a little bit of electronics and wiring, but very, very basic stuff, soldering, very basic, years and years and years ago. And when I was ready to get started, I watched Mad Cow's videos over and over and over again. I mean, he's got aside from building awesome sabers, he's a very good instructor. He's got a knack for it.
Don't you feel like on some of the like over the shoulder like soldering videos, he's kind of like got like a Bob Ross? Kind of sound like very friendly.
I always thought
I feel like I could do it when I'm listening.
I always thought. I mean, I don't know him personally. I think we've spoken in comments on the forums like once or twice. But I always thought of like it'd be awesome to send him a shirt that has like him in a pose like Bob Ross and the
Soldering though,
the-
it's like instead of a paintbrush, it's a soldering gun.
no, it says that's a good joint. Because he always said that.
All the time.
Yeah.
Just that, which is the wiring a 2.1 millimeter plug. I used to watch that all the time because just to make sure I did it. Or I would kind of get a new tip. It's like almost when you watch Star Wars over and over again, you start to hear like new stuff in there.
Yeah.
I'm like, oh, yeah, I don't remember that line. I can't. So I would get tips by rewatching. But now what I kind of do for that is like, I have little, I guess you could call them examples. So I have like a tester that I have a 2.1 attached. I have a couple other things attached. So with just a glance, I could kind of look real quick to remember. I don't, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
I kind of see it on my station.
I did the same thing though. I mean, you know, and even still, like every once in a while, I'll go back and just watch Rob's videos just to watch them, because it's just good to, you know, just keep that stuff fresh because, you know, the saber that I'm working on now, if you include the prototype, the one that I originally built, I've been working on it for 2 years. It's the only saber I've touched for 2 years. And I haven't, you know, done like installs over and over in this thing. So it's like, it's good to stay fresh with those, you know, just those basics and stuff. And like I said, he's got a knack for instruction. So
yeah,
it's not like unbearable to watch him.
right.
You know?
Definitely. And he will usually cover like not only the ground that he's talking about, but a little bit of the surrounding ground. So like, let's say he's talking about the 2.1 millimeter recharge port. He's also showing you how to kind of set up your, how to solder, how to set up the other peripherals regarding, around the 2.1.
How to cut your heat shrink, heat shrink at an angle so that it covers more of the legs. So, you know, little things like that.
Right. I like when he says something is like a best practice. I always try to remember that. I'll do that too if I hear him say that. Yeah.
Yeah. Very, very fortunate that those videos exist and that he did that for the community. I hope he makes more. You know, I'm sure he's busy, you know, with family and work and stuff. But you know, more videos from him would be welcome, definitely.
Yeah, it could be a case of like with like me and you, like we have a lot of ideas. You can only do so many of them.
Yeah.
He probably has a bunch of ideas, and it's just like limited time as far as like what you can do, making videos and instructing. But there's always stuff coming out from the custom saber shop, especially when like a new product comes out.
Yeah.
He will show you, like, let's say this Neopixel stuff. He had a video. He'll show you how to make the blade. He'll show you how to connect the hilt stuff. So you could kind of do it yourself in those regards if you wanted to. Maybe
we can get him to do one on installing an Allumicore crystal.
You mean your product on Custom Saber Shop? Nice.
Yeah. That'd be
Maybe
cool.
He's got it planned already. Yeah, you should ask Tim. You should ask Tim to initiate that, because with the Allumicore crystals, there's like they kind of work for everybody, because if you don't have a Neopixel, you could use the standard LED. If you want to match it to your blade, you can use the RGB. So there's actually a lot to say there as far as how to do it. But also, I mean, you could do instructional video of that too, because you could have the three different types, how to put that in. But I mean, people sometimes don't like, maybe they're not thinking about it, but to actually make a video like that, I'm thinking about it right now. It's going to take a lot, because you're going to need a ready to go crystal chamber and the ability to kind of quickly hook up the three different versions. So you're going to need like 2 or 3 systems there.
Well, I mean, you could do it over the course of time and just edit it together, But
Yeah.
yeah, it's something to think about.
That's cool.
Yeah.
I saw that Sith Holocron like lit up on Instagram, didn't I?
Yeah,
or is
but
it just a photo?
it was a trick. Here.
Oh, that's cool. Oh, I
Yeah.
see. Yeah.
Yeah. So.
Yeah, that looks kind of like organic in there. That looks crazy. I like the effect of that red. That's like a good red. It's a nice blood red.
So.
Bet you that wasn't easy to get a
No,
good red.
no. You know what? The funny thing is, it was totally easy. And there's really no science to it. It's like a certain spot on the popsicle stick that I dip into the dye. It's like, and it worked because so this was the hardest part of that whole thing. And do I have it here? Oh yeah, here it is. So here's another one. And you can see, well, there's white in there now because I was doing polishing on it, but all those little white dots are from bubbles in the casting, and it's really hard to get a good casting without those, and you need certain type of equipment. So I made like 5 or 6 of these before I was able to get to this point of one that is bubble free, and I had to do it with a vacuum chamber, which basically sucks the air out of the liquid resin.
That's like a new tool you had to purchase for that?
Yeah. And then I had to pour it in layers because it was also getting way too hot because I was pouring way too much resin. And when it cures, the resin gets really hot. So I had to do this in layers, and I was surprised at how easily I was able to match the color in each layer. And there, I think right there, you may be able to see like
Almost
couple
a line,
orange
maybe? Or, yeah, maybe.
one right there and one right there. But when it's lit, you don't even see those lines. So I'm happy with it for a prototype, and we'll see how it turns out. But yeah, it's cool.
Yeah,
stuff.
you're on Instagram. You're the same name as YouTube, DC Saberhood.
Yep.
So people should go and sign up on Instagram for DC Saberhood. That way they could see the evolution of this holocron come to life and light up, and then whatever effects you add to it later, like you were saying, there's going to be some kind of voice to it. So maybe you'll have on your YouTube or on Instagram, you'll probably have a video or something like that once that happens.
Yep.
But also,
definitely.
people could find you as DarthChasm on FX-Sabers.
Yep.
That's where I first met you. That's where I first saw you.
Yeah.
And I liked your sabers from the images, which we call the signature underneath your name.
I remember that. Yeah.
Because I don't even remember seeing like you posting. Maybe that's how I saw it. If you posted. But like you said, maybe you weren't posting them because you said you thought that it wasn't good enough or something. But you at least had it in your signature, and that's how I caught wind of what you were doing.
I remember that because when you messaged me, you were like, I thought it was funny. You were like, "Did you make those sabers in your signature?" I'm like, "Well, yeah, of course I did." I didn't realize people put sabers that they bought or other people made in their signatures as well. So, but yeah, that's funny. That's how we met.
Yeah.
Like,
I had to like pry it out of you.
Who's this crazy kid asking me if I made those sabers? Of course.
Yeah, I really like those like designs as soon as I saw them. But there was a few new members around that time.
Yeah,
coming out with sabers that they themselves made. It was surprising to see that level It was like Gary Morris is another one that was kind of coming out with sabers like right off the bat that really looked like Old Republic. They looked kind of cool. They looked like they had their own crystal chamber and stuff like that. So that's why, you know, there was a few people coming out at that time that kind of came on the scene at the same time, and it was hard to tell. Was that a saber that you made or something, or someone else made you?
Yeah, well, it's like what I said earlier. It was that the Force Awakens rush of new people coming in. You know who's really good? Who I don't want to say underrated, just not known because he doesn't do many. But Greeny, you'll find him on.
He's got one of my favorite designs.
He is
from a couple of years ago.
Yeah, he is really, really good. I don't, I've never seen his electronics work, so I can't speak to that. I'm sure it's fine, but just like his build quality and aesthetic is
love it.
And he does some stuff like, I've gone to him and like, how did you do that? Because that's something I was trying to do and couldn't figure it out. But yeah, he's really good. I'm
going to show you you probably like the same one. This is my shit right here.
Yeah.
I love this.
Yeah.
You know what I love about it? This thick, and I even asked him, right, it's the first day he posted this, I said, what is that? Like that thick piece of metal? He's like, yeah, it's a special pipe I found. It's thicker.
Yeah.
That blew my mind. I was like, oh my God, you could use something else that's not a TCSS shroud? I was like, what? And then I had to go investigate that myself. So since then, this gave me the idea. I have since used different, this kind of helped me along the way of like the multi-layer shroud. I love this look. This is so nice right here. Oh man, this is nice.
Yeah. He did a really, really awesome job with that saber. And the thing is it even says it in the name, MHS. It's MHS base, but he does have machines and he does do customization to the pieces and stuff, so they don't look like MHS at all, which is fine. I think that's actually makes it kind of cooler. Totally.
This is one of the first times I saw like the slip out cores. I believe this had a lot of things that kind of wowed me. I loved how it was so shiny. Very cool.
And he's a good guy too. I've spoken with him on both like email and like Skype. He's from England, I believe. If he ever watches this, I hope I didn't get that wrong. But really nice guy too. Very friendly.
Yeah, this almost has like, not including the center core, because that kind of looks like, I don't even know what to say. Like this looks like a freaking thruster of a jet, dude. This looks like crazy. But I'm talking about the body of the hilt right here.
Yeah.
It looks kind of like, it looks kind of like JQ sabers a little bit. Like they could have came up with that at least this angle.
Yeah, I see what you're saying. Yeah,
but this interior is like something else. Like I don't even know if anyone's even. I don't even know what to say, bro. I don't even know what to say about that. That's so crazy.
Yeah, he's really good. He's really good. I wish he would make more. That's how much I enjoy his stuff.
Like I kind of got the vibe, like from him, that he makes something for him. I don't know though. That's just a vibe I get from seeing him in the forum. Like when he comes out with a saber, that's his personal saber.
Yeah. I've never seen him post a saber for sale. And he's only honestly I think he joined a few months before I did. And honestly, I think he's only made, publicly, I he's only made 3 or 4 Saber, 4 or 5,
Yeah,
3,
it's like
4,
when
5 Sabers.
when I look up his name, actually my boy Seth, Jedi Seth Saber comes up. I guess, other Sabers get pulled when you do the search.
Mm-hmm.
And Michael Murphy says, "Oh yeah, Greenie rocks." He knows about Greenie. Yeah, really, really cool. I'm glad you mentioned him because, that's just something. It's like I always mention sabers that you could get. Like I say, go to Vader's Vault, they'll give you a saber. Go to Mad Cow, he'll make you a saber.
Mm-hmm.
I don't even mention this guy because, like you said, I don't know that he's gonna make you a saber. But,
Right.
Crazy if you could get him to make you a saber. You'd have one of the best sabers in the world for sure.
Yeah. Yeah.
For sure.
He does a nice job. Oh, look, there's one of mine.
04. Yeah, I could see mine in that too. That's like more of a standard crystal chamber, and for mine you gave like a really unique crystal. I think you had to make a crystal chamber specifically for that.
Yeah, and that your crystal is actually like held in with tension or pressure from the two halves. They're just, it's basically sandwiched between those two little pipes.
That's pretty interesting because I whacked this thing.
It's not going anywhere.
Like the blade that I made for this is got scuffs all over it because I'll actually I kind of test the CFLS, at least the component blade part of it. I test with this by hitting people as hard as I can, just to see if the blade will stop working or something.
And it's holding up, huh?
Yeah.
Good.
I feel like I should probably sand the blade because it's really noticeable, all the scuffs now. I feel like if I sanded it, you wouldn't see, it would look brand new again. Maybe even look different with the light or something. I don't know, but
you can, you can sand it. It'll give the exterior kind of like that silvery look when it's turned off.
Yeah.
But you have that. It has green foam in there, doesn't it?
No, it's a green day blade.
Oh, green day. Right.
So it's like white LEDs, and then this makes it green. Just the blade itself. So you get like this, like really light green because it's white. It's like, I was always after the white core. So of course, like that might have been one of the first things I mentioned to you when I was like, talking about a saber. I'm like, it's got to be the white core, but that part was up to me. I was making the blade side. You're like, yeah, I don't care. Like, you're just making the hill side, but you're like whatever. But like, I wanted the Viridian is the color that I love for that. So I was like, that's the color that the saber to me. So you actually had to match the crystal, which is another pain in the ass to match. You're like, what color is this going to be?
I got it close. I got it close. I don't think it's 100%, but I got it really close.
I think it's perfect. In my eyes, it's perfect.
And that crystal, it has a very, very faint green tint to it. Which I thought
it's almost like really a glow in the dark look to it.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, exactly.
Kind of cool like that. And I kind of feel like that's like got the soul of Viridian. That look. Yeah.
It was, man, I wish I didn't get rid of that saber. Oh, and the funny thing is if you remember, I did 3 designs for you.
Yeah. Well, I kind of feel like your 06 took elements of one of the other designs, like a little element, and then you expanded on that, and it kind of went in a slightly different direction for your 06. But I was in love with the 06 design too. I was like, oh, I'm almost jealous, but I still hold mine tight.
Well, 06, the reason I did that saber was someone on the TRA forum said you should do a run of 005, and I said, well, no. I said that was designed for a commission, and I said the way that I work is part of the price that someone is paying for a commission is that design. that I consider, specifically, coming from the design world, that there's work for hire. And that's what I consider the design of the saber. So if I do a commission, you're partially pay part of that money that you're paying is my time to design you something unique, and you own that design. If you today were to say, "Hey, Mike, can you send me the files for O5? I want to go to a shop and have it made," I would say, "Absolutely, sir. They're your files." So when they asked if I could do it, I said no, but I can do something that may have some elements from it. So O6 has a copper emitter, but with a different pattern of steps in it, and then it has a partial knurled handle, but the handle is split between knurl and ribs, and then the shroud completely different. Shroud takes inspiration from Graflex, and the collar and the pommel are gear-like, as opposed to yours where they're ribbed or grooved, I should say. Yeah, so that's how that came. That saber came about.
Nice.
Yeah.
Any plans post the lightsaber you're working on right now with the CF10 as far as lightsabers go? I know you have plans for other related items, but the lightsaber in particular.
Yeah. I still have my Romans MPP. That'll be my personal saber. It's my favorite saber ever. And I want to not copy, obviously, but take inspiration from Goodman's Harbinger. It's one of
I
my.
can't recall that look, but I'll look it up.
Take a look. It's one of my favorites. One of my favorites that he did, and one of my favorites overall. And then I just personally, out of all the sabers from the movies, I love the MPP. So that's on my to-do bench over that way. And then I also have
the Harbinger looks almost like a little like a greeny lightsaber in this one shot, a little bit.
Yeah.
Show you. I think this shot right here kind of has some elements of like a greeny look that we just looked at.
That's the
center
one
core to it.
Yeah, the one with the red crystals. That's the Harbinger. Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah. So I have that, and then I also have a one that I'm working on that I want to do. I want to test out every saber I do. I always pick something that I haven't done before to kind of challenge myself. I want to do kind of a quick release handle.
Like a Kanan, where it's like a secret lightsaber, or a double that comes apart.
No, more like a quick release for the reveal.
Oh, I see.
So rather than unscrewing, I'd like to do some kind of like push button quick release or something like that. That'll kind of eject the.
Oh, that sounds cool.
But that quite honestly, that could be 2 years from now that I even get to it, you know.
But it feels like only a month, doesn't it?
Yeah, exactly. But yeah.
All right, well, let's end this. But I really had a great time talking with you.
Yeah, absolutely.
And, we will do it again. Do we need to say? Should we say your Instagram again?
No, you don't.
You just started your Instagram like a week or so ago, right?
Yeah, I'm such an idiot. I've used YouTube and Facebook for years, but the Instagram I just started posting to.
Yeah, like I think I noticed like right when you came on there.
Yeah.
Because I saw your bills and stuff come up, so I was like, oh, that's so cool. So DC Saberhood YouTube, DC Saberhood on Instagram. and
Yep.
we're both on FX-Sabers. You guys should join up. You guys should be a member of all the forums, all the lightsaber forums. Go join up the RPF, the Rebel Armory, FX-Sabers. Join up at the Custom Saber Shop. Go look at all the lowered soundboard prices on the Custom Saber Shop. I guess the Profi came along, and the next thing you know, everything's like around $80 now. So it's pretty wild. Like,
Love it. We're
wild.
we're living in a time right now.
It's a new Saber world. It's a new Saber day. It's probably Saber time for both me and you. We got work to do, and that's what I'm going to go do.
All right.
All right. Well,
Thanks.
have a good night, everybody. Have a good night, Mike.
All right. You too.
Thanks
Thank
for
you.
doing this, dude.
Bye, everybody.